Hello folks, Jason Chrisman here, Grazing Acres Farm. About 3, 4, 5 days ago, we got some cold weather and some snow. But before the snow, we got all day of rain and sleet. That made a lot of ice on the trees. In the last couple of days, we've had a lot of sun, so a lot of that has melted off. But when we get these ice storms, I know from past experiences, if I've got bales just like I've got lined up here that are protected with poly wire, which you can see here, that ice builds up on this poly wire, making it very, very heavy. So one thing that I like to recommend, if you're new to this, when you get ice on the poly wire, it starts to droop. When it starts to droop, it'll touch the ground and the cattle will step over it. So once we step over here, I've already cleaned behind me. What I like to do, if you look here, you can see that this poly wire is just totally coated in ice. And it runs this whole length. And right up there, there's a briar holding it about a foot off the ground. I don't think the briar is necessarily holding it down. I think the weight of the ice made it droop, and then it just swayed underneath the briar, and that's why it's down now. But at any rate, what you want to do is take a few minutes before you move the cattle into these areas, or if they're already in these areas where you've got bales protected, you need to get there right after the ice storm and do what I'm about to show you. And what I do, I take my hand and I'll curve it. I'll take my index finger and my thumb, and I push downward with my thumb to bend the poly wire, and then I just simply walk along the poly wire, shaving the ice right off. Now when I'm done with this, you'll notice the poly wire pulls back up. That's because it ain't got all that weight on it anymore. Another thing the ice does to electric fences in general, not just the poly wire, over here on the perimeter, you see we've got a post there, there's a post there, and they're all the way down through here. But what happens is you get ice coating the whole fence post, the hot wire, and everything. So that pretty much makes it so your fence isn't carrying much of a load because it's grounding out in several places because of all this ice. So keeping the poly wire up and off the ground, if the cattle were trained to it, they won't give it any second guess to try and attempt to step over. But if it's drooping way on the ground or laying on the ground, they're definitely going in to eat. I learned that a few years ago. So when we got this ice the other night, the next morning, before it even got daylight, I was up here. Because I knew right over there where the cattle are, there was 3 bales. And I'll be dang if I didn't get up here and find them already in on those bales. So I had to push them all back out, put my poly wire back up, see, that's a lot of weight hanging there. Really brings it down on the poly wire. Today we're supposed to reach 37. When I left the house a few minutes ago, we were sitting at about 4 degrees. So we're going to do some melting today. But at the same time, probably before the melting starts, I'm going to have to move the herd in and give them one of these bales. Thus the reason I am cleaning the poly wire now. Okay, so that bale sitting right there is today's or midday's bale. They're still cleaning up from last night, so leave them over there until about midday. If we look down through here now, you can see the poly wire right here, and it's now pulled itself back up off the ground and is about 2.5, 3 feet high. So I feel a lot better now about moving the herd in here. I won't have to worry about this later when I move them in. It'd just be move them in and drop the feeder around the bale, or unroll the bale, whichever I choose to do today. So I just wanted to take a minute, point out how important it is when you get ice or even a heavy wet snow. It'll bring down the poly wire. To get out there in your pasture and check that poly wire, because if you don't, let me tell you, the cattle are watching it closely. I mean, after all, you are protecting their food and they want to it. The only thing stopping them is that poly wire. Whether it's hot or not, in most cases, if it's up like that and your cattle have been around poly wire enough, they ain't gonna chance going through it. If it's drooping down on the ground or on the ground, regardless whether they're trained to it or not, they're going in. Just a little tip from Grazing Acres Farm. Hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching.